Well, we're alive, ladies and gentlemen, and it's 4:15 a.m. on 4/20, April 20th, 2025. I have what is the time now, man? I've got 6 more minutes of my 50s. I'm going to turn 60 in 6 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Because according to my birth certificate, I was born at 4:20 a.m. on 4/20 of 1965. And this clock is wrong here, man. So I was up pretty much all night. So I'm probably not going to do a long live stream here. Um, I'll do a live stream later on today. Uh, it'll be my birthday party thing. Oh, there's a red dot. Oh man, what's Gary doing up? Gary Davis, what's up, man?
Happy birthday, my friend.
Well, thank you. Well, it's not for, well, technically, it's already my birthday, but
Yeah.
I'm going to actually do a live stream. So I've got 4 more minutes until I'm technically 60. The
Okay.
clock, I didn't have the clock set for some. I think. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
man. What are
hey,
you doing up at this hour?
I just woke up. Just it's the old man having to go to the bathroom thing. So
Oh, well, I almost overslept. I woke up at 4:04 or something, and I thought, man, I better go down. I was going to do a live stream to, let's see,
yeah.
16. Okay, I'm going to do a longer one later.
Wow.
So, what have you been up to?
Oh, I've just been puttering around doing some little projects around the house. I, I saw a video the other day of someone who had taken a tomato cage and some hula skirts and made themselves a cousin it. And it sounds kind of funny, but I made myself my own cousin it.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me get this set just right. 4:17. Man, I have screwed up things here. I should have gone off. Oh, man.
Well, are you and Cleo doing okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good.
I didn't get much sleep. But then I realized I had to go do that live stream that I was promising to do.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Well,
then
I happened to be just perusing the internet, and I just thought I would look over at you, and here you are live, and I was going, "Whoa! It's 4 in the morning over there. What's
yeah.
going on?"
Oh, I'm not gonna. It's just I'm not gonna do it for long here. I'm just
Yeah.
let me see here.
Hey, I
I'm,
was going to ask you when people are watching your show,
yeah.
occasionally I'll hear you say, well, hello to all two of you who are watching. Can you see who they are, or is it just
Hey, no, I can't see. It just shows me a number two. It says two.
oh, okay. I was just kind of curious because there's been times I've been watching and I'm like, I bet he can tell I'm watching right now. Hi,
18.
Yeah, it's 4:18. I need to.
I'm the other sucker watching.
Yeah. Oh, you're. Well, I'm gonna.
Cleo.
Hi.
I'm not gonna do this stream long. I'm gonna go back to sleep here.
I was hoping that's what I came down
Well, I
here
was
to.
gonna. I'm gonna do the later one where we can eat cake and stuff when she's awake. I mean, she has. I don't think
I
she
was going
slept
to
at all.
sleep. I watched like the Misfits live from Coachella, and I'm
Yeah.
like gossiping with my friend.
Yeah, there was a
Being a
Misfits
night owl.
reunion at this horrible concert called Coachella. It really was awful.
It was
Should I-
terrible, huh?
Well, it's like really, I don't know what it's very strange. It's like everyone in the audience is like a space alien. They're all a bunch of normal
People were like,
space aliens. I don't know. It's almost like it's new age or something creepy about the
Huh.
people, like pod people.
How
yeah,
weird.
yeah, Meyer didn't like the crowd.
Oh no, the crowds
Yeah.
were 419.
Some people were commenting that they were a bunch of nepo babies, probably.
What is nepo? The nepotism.
Nepotism,
Oh,
yeah.
what is that? Means they're rich.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they
Well,
think that's why they were like bootleg people.
Huh.
yeah.
Weirdos.
Pod pod people.
Oh, it's 420.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, well, you can't make any argument. I'm middle aged anymore. I guess. I guess I'm
What's
60.
that mean?
Well, I don't know. When you're 60, you can't say, "Oh, I'm middle aged, man." I guess I'm old now. Let me, but I
Yeah.
got. I'll be up. I gotta start my cartoons though.
Yeah. Be sure to take advantage of all those senior discounts and stuff.
I don't think I can get those yet, can I?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you can get those at 55.
It seems like everything's 60. I thought it was 65. I don't know, man. When
It's
you get
funny.
Social Security, you need 62 if you get it at a discount or something. Is that
You can
correct?
get it. You can get it now, but if you get it early, you kind of get it. You kind of get penalized. You don't get as much money as if you wait till 65.
I think it's 60. Well, maybe it's 65. I think maybe for younger people it's 67 now or something. I don't know what's up. All that. I would never get much anyway because most most of my adult life I was in a job that doesn't pay into Social Security. It's just
Oh
what I
my.
did before my main career and what I did after my main career pays into Social Security. But
Yeah.
but what I was doing had its own retirement system. So I get retirement every month, but Social Security, I think I would get a much lower amount than the normal person. Um, yeah, I'm at 5 o'clock. I can start recording my cartoons on
What
this channel.
cartoon? What cartoons are you recording?
Well, it's some weird bootleg channel out of China. Well, it's an app on the Roku called IOTV. IOTV,
Huh.
and on this channel, it has all these different channels that you can. A lot of them have Chinese lettering and stuff. You don't know
Yeah.
what they are. It's basically like the Temu of television. It's
Huh.
Temu has all these bootleg products and but see, it says Toonami Aftermath, Toonami Retro Tunes, 70s Cinema, but they completely don't honor any copyrights. They violate everybody's intellectual property. It's all, you know,
Well, if they're in China, they can do pretty much whatever they want with it with impunity. They don't have to. They don't have to answer to anybody.
I guess so. I just don't know how they don't. No one can get them.
That's why you see all those like bootleg toys. They all come from China. They because they figure
They
who's
have
going
all
to
these
get us. Who's going to
channels
punish us.
about cars. They have anime channels. Beverly Hillbillies channel. I mean,
Wow.
someone told me they've got Me TV on here somewhere that you can watch. But I don't know. A lot of this is just very weird, and I have no idea what it is. I
Is this
mean,
a is this a website or what did you
it's
say?
just I don't know. This was something that Friar Tuck, one of the viewers, told me about. He
Huh.
said, "Go to your Roku and type in IOTV." But anyway, the only channel I ever watch is this Toonami Aftermath, and the only time I ever watch it is Saturday and Sunday mornings from 5 to 7.
Yeah.
They have all kinds of cartoons, all completely without permission. They
Oh,
Johnny
sure.
Quest, they have Batman the animated series, but I have all those on DVD. But during five, so well, at five, from five till about 5:45, they run the 1967 Spider-Man. I have all those on DVD, so I don't
Right.
need the Spider-Man cartoon. But then around 5:45, sometimes they'll run the 1966 Marvel superheroes. Sometimes they'll run a whole complete story of Thor, Captain America, Hulk, or Iron Man. It depends on the rotating cycle, and then they'll also show mixed in there the 1967 Hanna-Barbera Fantastic Four cartoon, and
Wow.
then they'll run a couple of Birdman cartoons and two Space Ghost cartoons, and then it'll be 7 o'clock, and then they'll start 1990s cartoons with Earthworm Jim, and all the commercials during these cartoons are right from 1990s television. There'll be like commercials for coming up later this morning. The premiere of The Tick here on Fox Kids. There'll
Hmm.
be ads from Fox Kids from the 90s, or there'll be uh, a commercial for like the very first Apple computers, like it's a new thing, or there'll be, I don't know, commercials for what was the band that sings some song called a boy band that sings "Bye Bye Bye"? Is that the Backstreet Boys?
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah, they'll have like the Backstreet Boys commercial. They're trying to create a nostalgic feel for people that were around in the 90s watching Toonami or something. And I guess that they ran these old superhero cartoons on one of those cable channels. I don't remember them ever running the Marvel superheroes. But anyway,
I don't remember that either.
all this is, somehow Disney can't touch them with. Disney has these Spider-Man cartoons and the Hulk and Thor. They have all that completely under copyright. And if I was to do this live stream and have these cartoons, the audio playing in the background, it would pick up the audio of the
Yeah,
Spider-Man cartoon and cause a copyright claim from the Disney
sure,
Corporation.
sure.
Here it is, a McDonald's commercial with. Is that the Backstreet Boys? I think so. They're autographing their CDs at a McDonald's when they were a phenomenon. Backstreet Boys. I
McDonald's.
Yeah.
What a
So you
what a joke McDonald's has become.
Yeah, there's some Ronald McDonald commercial. They don't even use those characters anymore.
No, the only I was watching something and they were saying the only there's only two things that McDonald's uses Ronald for anymore, and one is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade still has a Ronald McDonald float,
Oh, they do?
and yeah, they still have the balloon, and then the only other thing that has Ronald McDonald's name on it is the Ronald McDonald House uh, for for attached to a hospital,
Right, right.
for babies who are needing some extra care,
Yeah, yeah.
and and that's it. They've totally gotten rid of Ronald.
Yeah. I guess they're wanting to create the illusion that they're a fine restaurant and they aren't just for kids anymore. Uh,
Oh my gosh, I miss the old McDonald's. I loved. I mean, McDonald's was. You know how the commercial goes. McDonald's is your kind of place, and it was a fun place to go when you were a kid.
I never went there because my mom wouldn't take me to McDonald's. We went to Burger Chef when I was a kid.
Oh, I loved Burger Chef.
Later, I don't even know. I don't remember. Maybe we didn't go to hamburger places that often, but my mom, McDonald's was. I just was brought up that was not the place to go.
No, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but
that was taboo, or it was bad for you, kind of thing.
uh, no, I think because if we went to Burger Chef, I don't think that would be that. I think it was just that I don't think my mom liked the food there.
Oh, that may be. That
I
might.
never really ate there much until Cleo really likes that place. So once I got married to her, we went to McDonald's, but it's not an option now because there's no McDonald's here locally.
Wow.
So I don't need to even worry about that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just remember the commercial. The commercials were, HR Puff and stuff came first. It was,
Yeah.
and the McDonald Land commercials were definitely, the whole concept was stolen right from Sid and Marty Croft.
Oh yeah, Sid and Marty Croft. They actually conferred with Sid and Marty Croft to make McDonald Land.
Oh, did
Um,
they? Oh, I didn't
yeah.
realize that. I thought it was stolen. The whole
No, well, it was stolen. It was stolen. I mean, they conferred with Sid and Marty Croft, and Sid and Marty Croft went and designed all these characters and all the land and everything, and they presented their thing to McDonald's, and McDonald's said, "Yeah, no, we don't think we'll go with that." And Sid and Marty Croft kind of walked away, and they went ahead and used Sid and Marty Croft's ideas enough so that actually Sid and Marty Croft sued McDonald's and won.
I didn't realize they had won.
Yeah, they
That's
did. They,
interesting. Well, that's basically the way that Elvira was created by KABC in Los Angeles. They were the station that had the Vampira show in the early '50s. I call up
yeah,
Sheila Nermy and said, "Do you have scripts from your old show?" She said, "Yeah." So we'd like to do like a new Vampira show, and we'd like to have you play the mother, and we're gonna cast the new Vampire, and we'd like for you to be part of it and be a big part of the show. And she said, "Oh, okay." And so she brings her scripts in, and they talk with her, and then they don't call her back, and then the next thing she sees, there's an Elvira show, and she's on this red Victorian couch, and it's basically her show, except instead of kind of a S&M, dark, threatening kind of, but funny. They make her a valley girl, and
yeah.
and she was so pissed. What's she gonna do? Someone that's living in a little tiny house in Los Angeles against this big local ABC affiliate in Los Angeles, and so they shafted her. She sued. It didn't work, but I don't think she got anything. I don't know, but
That's too bad.
I think you can make the case that that character pre-existed Vampira.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean, all you need to do is watch some segments of Vampira, and you can see the Vampira influence on Elvira. You can see that it's glaringly
yeah,
obvious.
just as much as you can in a McDonald's commercial.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, she didn't like Cassandra Peterson. She thought she was just, she said she was a stripper. She didn't like her. And I just thought, man, that's kind of mean. Yeah, she was a Las Vegas showgirl and everything, which means she's that is kind of a stripper. But I always
Sort of.
thought, man, I wish they didn't have that fight. I like Vampire, I like Elvira, but now Cassandra Peterson has gone so far with her TDS on Facebook and everything. I mean, she hates Trump so much, it's just gotten ridiculous. She posted a picture of Trump on Facebook last night, where he's wearing a little diaper and dressed up and with a boa, like he's at one of those parades. And um,
Wow.
yeah, she is. So anyway, and then all the comments underneath were completely against her. You know, it's a shame
Yeah.
because I got all this Elvira merchandise. I've always liked her. I bought her calendar every year. I've got an Elvira pin. I used to have two Elvira pinball machines, but we had to sell one because we were in a bad financial place back in the old country. And but I always loved her. And now she turns into a horrible commie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
that's too bad. I've got a lot of Elvira stuff too.
so you don't buy cool stuff unless someone's already passed away because then they can't change. Well, yes, they could. They can discover things about, oh, you know, what happened back when they were alive. It's like, oh no.
they can't change their political polarization, I guess.
Well, maybe if you go back to someone that lived several hundred years ago, you figure, well, they've been pretty much vetted. They're not going to be finding anything else bad about them at this point.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you were someone stupid enough to think Jimmy Savile was a great humanitarian in England, and then after he passed away, then it all came out. But I think you'd have to have been pretty stupid to really believe that back when he was alive. But
Isn't it something how we people we idolize people while they're alive, and then later on find out all this crap that they were doing, all these things.
well,
Kind of like Joan
yeah,
Crawford, when Joan Crawford's daughter wrote her book,
yeah. Well,
Mommy
you
Dearest.
don't know if that how much of that's bullshit. I,
No,
I
you
don't know
don't.
about that. But yeah,
Don't.
people can try to destroy people's. And she was adopted. What would her life have been if she wasn't adopted by this rich movie star? Yeah,
Sure.
she got they're upset with her for using the wrong kind of coat hangers. Well, at least she was warned.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. The wire coat hangers do ruin clothes. I was stupid enough to not realize that. I don't know how
I
much of that's
Well,
true.
maybe she was told several times, do not use wire coat hangers,
Yeah, I
and
don't
I
know.
mean, it may have just gotten Joan Crawford may have just gotten to the point where she was like, you know what?
Yeah, I don't know how much of that's true. Some people are gonna. Uh, but yeah, who else has been? People try to hurt people's legacies after they pass away. John F.
Yeah,
Kennedy and stuff. You don't know how
that's
much of
sad.
that's true and how much of that. And then, and then sometimes you could be gone a couple hundred years and people try to mess with your. Well, shoot, they did that with Christopher Columbus when I was a kid. Columbus Day was a big deal. They'd read stories about what a hero Christopher Columbus was in
Yeah.
school, and then but now Christopher Columbus is an evil villain.
Oh yeah,
They
that's
they and
when I was a
Benjamin
kid.
Franklin.
When I was a
Yeah,
kid, Christopher Columbus, yeah, he was looked at as a national or a world renowned hero. That
yeah,
he discovered America. And it was a big deal, and he was this terrific explorer and all. And I there was one day, it was Columbus Day, and I happened to say, Happy Columbus Day to someone, and oh, they got mad. They got really offended and
yeah.
upset.
It's
And
weird.
I'm like, what the hell's your problem? Why are you upset that I'm saying Happy Columbus Day?
And then they found what was it down some well or some shaft at Benjamin Franklin's residence. They found all these skeletons, and then they realized, well, there was a doctor that lived there, and they were cadavers that they had used for medical, you know, uh,
Medical
exploration,
research.
whatever research. Yeah, so. Um, but they wanted to make it seem like, oh man, what was he doing in the Hellfire Club? Benjamin Franklin. They're finding skeletons in his. They want to tear down anybody that's a hero because
Well,
they want to. It's all part of their communist agenda.
that's kind of like what BLM was doing for a while when they were tearing down statues of all these people. And I'm going, you know,
Well, there were other. Well, it was the statues I remember. Yeah, it was a lot of the Civil War statues. They're trying to put all those statues back up, from what I hear. The ones that weren't destroyed.
Oh, really?
Uh, yeah, I think so.
Wow. I got to get some coffee here. You bear with me
Oh,
for a few moments. I'll be
all
right
right.
back. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna drink coffee because I don't intend to stay up because I want to go back to bed, but I have to start these cartoons. I
Yeah.
guess I'll record the Spider-Man cartoons, and then I'll just record a full 2 hours, even though I don't need the Spider-Man cartoons. It's kind of, how often do I get out my set of Spider-Man cartoons and put it on? Never.
I never. I would occasionally catch a Spider-Man cartoon when I was a kid. Um, not very often. I don't know why. We never saw very many Marvel cartoons like Spider-Man and the Hulk or anything else like that. Spider-Man was not on very often.
Well,
Um,
when I was 5 and 6, 7 years old, the Marvel heroes played a lot on the armed services television in
oh, they did.
Germany.
Huh?
So, but only Hulk and Captain America. The other ones I didn't see until I was older. I would say about 12. In Dallas, in the Dallas area, there was a Channel 39. It was an independent station. It was actually CBN. They had the 700 Club, but they when it wasn't 700 Club, they had old TV shows of the network. I think their highest rated show was reruns of the original Star Trek. And but on Saturday mornings in 1978, when the Hulk and the Spider-Man TV live action shows were on, and Superman had come out in theaters, the Christopher Reeve movie, there was a superhero boom then,
Yeah.
and so they ran the 60s Superman filmation cartoon, which I thought was really good, and they ran Aquaman. Their whole Saturday morning for a while was superheroes. They ran Spider Man. They had Hulk, Iron Man. I don't think they ever ran Submariner. They ran the other ones, Hulk, Iron Man. Oh wait, did they run Thor? I know they might have. I don't think. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they had Hulk, Captain America, and Iron Man for sure.
Huh.
Submariner was the one that was never shown as much as the others, for some reason.
You know what's funny is every time I hear you say Submariner, I, there's something in the back of my head because when I was a kid, I, I I never knew that his name was pronounced Submariner when I was a kid. Just because I looked at his name and went, "Oh, submarine," so I always
Yeah,
called him the Submariner.
yeah. I think I might have done that at one point in my childhood, but
Yeah, I
maybe I
never I
was
never called him
corrected.
the I never called him the Submariner. I just called him the Submariner.
I might have realized that from, the poem Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, or I don't know how it ultimately all came together that
Yeah,
should be Submariner. The cartoon, of course, would tell you that, but that was the one that was not syndicated as much. That was he's always been the hero that, even though he's the oldest Marvel here, well, along with the Human Torch and Submariner are the oldest of the Marvel heroes. Although
isn't isn't Captain America one of the oldest as well?
yeah, these cats are climbing the curtains. Uh, Captain America goes to 1940. Yeah, Submariner and Human Torch go back another year to 1939. Um, yeah, they Captain America actually started the year before World War II. So
Oh,
the
okay.
first issue, it shows him punching out Hitler, but we weren't at war with Hitler when he was punching out Hitler on the cover of Captain America #1.
Oh,
But
really?
everyone knew it was going to happen. I mean, it was pretty much. I mean, pretty much people knew that Hitler had to be taken out
Yeah.
in 1940. especially Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, who were both Jewish. They saw what was going on in Europe and realized this is a bad guy, and it just you had to convince the population that we should go to war,
Hmm.
um, and so when they knew the Japanese were coming into Pearl Harbor, they they allowed it to happen and allowed those couple thousand sailors to die so that the American public would be galvanized enough to line up to volunteer to join and not wait to be drafted. It was they needed an incident to happen to make people, the public, realize that war. And then, so we declared war on Japan, and then Germany declared war on us, and we were in.
It's interesting how, I mean, I've heard so many people talk about how 9/11 was an inside job. It was orchestrated by our government as well. That our government knew full well what was going to happen, and
Yeah, we're going to get in trouble here, but yeah, people have said that. Yeah, so it's
you
yeah, we probably should talk about happy things.
know,
Um,
blue sky,
yeah,
sunbeams, and rainbows.
yeah. My goodness gracious. Yeah, I mean the Japanese, they knew they were going to do something, and then they saw, oh, all their ships are organized. Oh, that's probably what they're going to be doing. They knew. But I
Yeah,
mean, we cut off all the oil to Japan. So when you do that to a country, you kind of know that maybe they're going to do something.
yeah, to retaliate, sort of.
Yeah, and of course, that's. And then they realize, oh, we've awakened a sleeping giant. Well, that's because the sleeping giant needed to be awakened. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh, oh my wonderful. So
Well, I didn't mean to open up a can of worms there, but
no, no, that's all right. I just uh my goodness, there's this is some what they got right now. It's not cartoons. It's something called riff tracks. I think it's like they run old educational films that would be played in classrooms,
oh,
and
I
then they
see.
do little jokes like mystery science theater, where they laugh about what they're saying in these corny old films and make jokes about it. And I've always been really torn on all that. I always thought it encouraged really pretty shitty behavior.
Yeah.
Uh, so
You mean
uh,
you mean people just not having respect? Is that kind of what you're saying?
well, I remember in the 80s in the TV Guide they had a movie called damn, what was that Mamie Van Doren movie? It was, or she's on like a prison farm or something. It's like I'd been wanting to see this. This I was really into Mamie Van Doren, right? It's just and all these juvenile delinquent movies and everything,
Yeah.
and of course Mamie Van Doren also is ultra liberal, like Cassandra Peterson. She's really extreme. She's still around.
I was going to say she's still around.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and at least a few years ago, when on Facebook, she would still pose half nude, and she was in her 80s,
Oh
uh,
my god,
and posted up is a little interesting.
that's
But
kind of
anyway,
creepy.
I always thought maybe Van Doren was cool. She was they had Marilyn Monroe, and then Jane Mansfield was kind of right below that, and then maybe Van Doren was kind of the dime store version of that. But she
Yeah.
was in some really cool rock and roll movies. Well, Jane Mansfield was in The Girl Can't Help It. That was a great movie. But Mamie Van Doren was in High School Confidential, and that had Jerry Lee Lewis, doing the theme song, and he's playing his guitar in the back of a truck in the opening credits. It's a great movie. And so, I was into Mamie Van Doren. And what is my point? What am I even talking about? Where are we going with this? Oh, there was a Mamie Van Doren movie. And I was like, well, I'm going to record this. I got my VHS ready to record it. And it's because it's back then, there were no DVDs back then. If you wanted a movie that wasn't out on VHS, well, then a lot of obscure 50s movies weren't on VHS.
Yeah.
You had to wait till it comes on television and tape it. And
Yeah.
then maybe somebody that that lives in another part of the country, they might have different movies air locally, and you can trade with them and build a collection of these obscure movies, exploitation kind of horror, science fiction, old movies.
My best friend at the time used to come to work, and he and I worked at the same place, and he would bring a videotape every week, just of something new that he had taped on, on cable, or he had gotten some videos or something, and he taped them for me. So I was well supplied.
So I tune in to the station to record, and the opening credits start, and man, there's people talking over the movie, making jokes, laughing at it,
Yeah.
and I real what is it's like and it's a perfect print, a lot of it's like wow, I here's the movie, but people are talking over the whole thing, and I see little heads at the bottom of the screen like I'm in a theater, and uh, so I thought, man,
You
and
got a bootleg movie, is what you thought,
well,
probably.
it was Mystery Science Theater. It was when it first started,
Yeah.
and so I hated that. Now I realize that what they say is funny, but the thing is, well, when DVD came out and they put out these movies on for the Mystery Science Theater dubbed movies,
Yeah.
they would give you the one with all the comedians laughing and little robots laughing or joking about the movie on one side of the disc, and the other side of the disc gave you the actual uncut version of the movie without the
Oh.
talking, overdubbing. And so that was okay if they let you have the original movie, and you can watch it that way. I guess that's okay. I mean, when they messed up all the Star Trek episodes, there initially they would let you have, okay, you can have these new computer fixed episodes, or you can see the way they originally aired in the 60s, which is the way they should be shown.
Yeah.
And they gave you the option. Now you don't get that option. If you watch Star Trek on Paramount or whatever streaming service shows it, they only give you the altered versions, where they fixed everything, that what they
Yeah.
thought fixed everything, which means that you never see a physical model of the Enterprise. It's always computer generated.
Yeah.
Every shot, just like they did with Star Wars, they took out all the physical model work John Dykstra did and everything. It's just one a movie should or a TV show should just work for its time period, and they don't need to be altering things, I don't think. But
They don't need to
anyway,
be
so
freaking with it.
that's
Yeah.
how now I can watch. If I wanted to, I could watch Mystery Science Theater and enjoy it, because now just about all those movies are now easily available now that the DVD movement has come and gone. You can get those movies, they're all available. But when they weren't, and all you could do is just uh, try to, is it seven? I mean, five, whatever the hell. No, we still got 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's I know that upsets people because a lot of people worship Mystery Science Theater, but I just didn't like it. Here's the CD is here. Oh, okay. So this is yeah, they're running that Backstreet Boys commercial again. I guess it's they're releasing a CD at McDonald's. How exciting.
How funny.
I guess they were the second wave. I guess uh wait, they were Backstreet Boys was around 2000, and I think 10 years before was New Kids on the Block. And I think
I never followed that, so I don't know.
now I'm aware that they were this that was a horrible time period. That was they were second wave boy bands. There
Yeah.
was there was New Kids on the Block. They were early enough that Harvey comics were still being published. Then 10 years later, Backstreet Boys and In Sync came along,
Oh yeah.
and then years later it was I don't know Justin Bieber. It's all part of that horrible phenomenon.
Horrible
But
phenomenon.
then in the late '70s, the same basic thing. It was well, it wasn't a band. It was they had individual guys that were basically the same that reigned at the same age group of girls. You had Sean Cassidy and you had Leif Garrett, who was who was yeah, it was Leif Garrett and Sean Cassidy was the little brother of David Cassidy, who 10 years before that, or yeah, 10 year or about 10 years before that, it was David Cassidy with the Partridge Family.
Yeah.
Then 10 years later, it's his little brother, Sean Cassidy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
funny how. Do you remember when Justin Bieber was hugely popular and everyone was just giving Justin Bieber so much, just just basically making fun of him and making fun of his hair and making fun of his look and everything like that. And then someone brought up a picture of Donny Osmond. It was about the same age, and I swear it was almost the same darn picture. I was looking at a picture of Donny Osmond and a picture of Justin Bieber right next to each other, and they almost looked
Well,
identical.
well, yeah, but Donny Osmond, yeah, I forgot to mention. Yeah. Okay, so there was David Cassidy, but yeah, who but the right about that time you had the Jackson Five and the Osmonds,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah. The
before
Osmonds.
that it was Bobby Sherman, but most people have forgotten about him.
Yeah, most. Didn't he die recently, or is he still alive? I,
I'm not sure. I don't think maybe
I don't
maybe I
know.
don't know. I don't really know.
I
Bobby
found
Sherman.
out that Bobby Sherman in his off time spent a great deal of his leisure time reproducing Main Street USA from Disneyland in his backyard.
Bobby
He
Sherman did.
Yeah, he had a you can look it up on YouTube. He has a reproduction of Main Street USA from Disneyland in miniature version online.
Oh,
You can in his backyard, and it's like the houses or the buildings are about I don't know 4 feet tall, and he's got intricate detail to the brick work and every little detail just perfect. And he did a YouTube video, and it was fascinating to see that he had done all this, just in
yeah.
his off time.
Well, Uh, yeah, that's neat. I just looked him up. He's in his 80s, living in Santa Monica. He's still around.
Oh, okay.
He was uh, he was a host on what was the show? I mean, he must have been was he the host of Shindig? I think. No,
Hmm.
that was someone else. That was a radio DJ. He might have been the host of Hullabaloo, Bobby Sherman, and then he was on Here Come the Brides and had a yeah.
He
That's
actually, from
that's
what I
for
understand, he had a career as an emergency medical uh,
yeah,
technician.
exactly. You're right. Yeah, he split from being a teen idol and Hollywood guy, and yeah, he became yeah, it was like emergency right about the
Yeah, he
time
was like,
emergency was popular on television. He was doing it for real.
yeah,
I think he even helped out on the set of that show. I could be wrong, but it seems like I remember reading that he was an advisor on that show. But yeah, he left Hollywood. Sometimes people they split. It might be they realize how bad Hollywood is,
yeah,
and they realize maybe I need to get the hell out of here.
yeah. Well, it's obviously what he did. He did what he wanted to do.
Sometimes, like, what was the name of the young starlet star that was in? Forget her name. She was in a movie with Elvis, and she became a nun.
Oh, really?
Then yeah, and then there's or you could marry a prince, like Grace Kelly, if you want to get out of the horrors of Hollywood.
Sure.
But yeah, Donny Osmond was. I don't know if I'd compare him. I thought he had real talent. Justin Bieber.
Yeah, he
The
did. He
few
did have
times
real
I've
talent.
heard him, it just sounded. Well, first of all, you don't know that it's a guy singing,
Yeah,
and now we know all of the abuse he was going through from that P Puff Diddly Daddy or whatever.
yeah,
That he was basically just a party favor used at these bizarre Illuminati music parties or whatever the hell. I think they've got him in jail or prison now, and he hasn't been in the media much lately. But I think they must realize he's got horrible things. They're just horrible things, and he probably has horrible stories about a lot of important people enough that they want to just confine him somewhere where he
yeah.
doesn't talk to anybody. They've got him
I
deep
did
under.
see I did see some footage of him in a concert where he was actually professing his faith in Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's all bullshit. They all do that sometimes to fool people into thinking that,
Yeah,
yeah, you don't. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't trust those people. The stars, when they say that, uh, sometimes it's real, but
yeah.
yeah, I can only think of maybe a couple like Mel Gibson or Star Lord. That who else? Pat Boone. I can't really think of many Christians in the recording industry or Hollywood. My wife says, "Do you think you want to go out to eat today for your birthday, or should we pinch pennies and eat up these wee meals I've got?" I would say let's save money and eat it. There's no restaurants to go to, and they're all going to be closed because it's Easter, and
Oh, that's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah,
they won't be open. So there's no real option. In fact, even the gas station might be closed. The supermarket's closing at noon. I got a cake here, so yeah, I don't need to go anywhere. It's not important to me to go out. Thomas Fairfowl says, "Happy birthday, Grottu." Well, thank you so much. That's Thomas Fairfowl is the great guy Jeff that went and got all our stuff from from Mike and brought it
oh
to.
yeah, nice.
Greta says Grottu is related to Grace Kelly. Yeah, somehow on my dad's side, I forget exactly the connection, but
Really?
yeah, somehow, yeah.
Oh, oh, interesting.
That has to be through my grandmother on my dad's side because she was Irish. Yeah, there was some. They were from a good Irish family. They were. It wasn't. Yeah. Um, and then my grandfather on my dad's side. That's where the Orloff name comes from. There was a I think my grandfather's grandmother, maybe, or maybe mother, maybe his grandma, maybe my grandfather's grandmother was named Bertha Orloff, and he was
Oh.
like kind of German Russian, so like in between. I don't know. I guess more German. I think. I don't know, man. No, I don't know. Not many. Yeah, but today's Easter, so I don't know. Um,
Are you able to spend Easter with anybody, or are you just kind of you and Cleo just kind of hanging together, or what?
well, yeah, because I mean, we don't really know many people, and I mean, in person, and the people we know are in other states.
Yeah,
Uh,
online and things like that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't. There was an Easter egg hunt yesterday on the town square, but we
That
had the two cats. We took them to the vet yesterday.
but your town square really isn't that far from your home, is it? Isn't it within walking distance?
Yeah, you can walk there,
Oh, huh.
but there's not really any reason to really, unless you just want to walk around the square to get. They haven't measured how many, the distance around the square. So if you want to walk a certain number of miles, you can just walk around it or something. But
Yeah.
not like a big destination for nightlife or anything, or really
Hmm.
even shopping. There's more shops for women really than anything. Places to get your hair done or to buy clothing. Well, there's a gun store. I mean, but there's generally more of the shops are for women, but I guess women shop more than men. There's just not much. There's not much really to do, which is fine because I want to. Sure, I'd like a comic store or a toy store, but that kind of takes away the temptation to spend money when
Yeah,
there's not
that's true.
anything locally.
That's true. I never thought of that. I mean, there's been times when I've been wanting to spend money. It's like, well, there's nowhere to spend any money. Where
Yeah.
would I go? It's kind of funny too. I remember whenever I would have a surplus of money that I could go spend on something fun for myself, I would go to the shopping centers or the malls or the stores or whatever, and couldn't find a darn thing that I wanted. And then the times when I didn't have any extra money, that was when I saw the things I wanted.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's something when you have money and you really want to spend it and you go into a store and it's like there's nothing I want here.
Yeah,
And that started happening to me in comic stores. And that's when I realized the comic industry is dried up because I'd go in, I'd look at all the Marvel, all the DC, nothing here is interesting, and then I'd buy maybe an issue of the Comics Journal or Alter Ego, some magazine about comic books, but about
yeah,
comic book history back, you know, before I was, about history before I was born, when comics were interesting. And
sure, sure.
but I just don't know, man.
When they were actually fun.
Oh, so
Well, at 5 in the morning, you had said you were going to start cartoons. Isn't it's a
yeah,
little after 5 right now?
yeah, I've started them. I got Spider-Man going, so I could
Oh,
probably get some more sleep because I was up pretty late because I needed to record the Misfits for Cleo because last Saturday this Coachella I guess goes on for several weekends. the Misfits had a show last Saturday night, and then it was taken down from YouTube and is not viewable now. You can see the whole live stream of that outdoor stage, but the Misfits show was removed. And so last
Oh,
night they did a live stream of last night's bands, performers, whatever, and the Misfits was started playing. I was asleep then, but I started the recording, so I got that recorded for her in case they pull the show down today. Now,
yeah,
maybe they pulled it down for who knows what reason, but
that's too bad.
so they're and that's probably from what I hear gonna be the last time they perform together. They're
Oh,
um,
wow.
I don't think there's a whole lot of love between Glenn Danzig and his old band members. Uh,
That's kind of hard. You have this fantasy vision of these of these rock stars and musicians all kind of living together almost. You know.
well, you create a name for a band. You come up with a logo that's really cool looking. It's by taking your childhood influences. You take the famous Monsters of Filmland magazine logo and change it around, and then you get an obscure to normal people. Movie serial, The Crimson Ghost. That
Yeah.
character's pretty cool. Use him as the mascot, and then we'll take all these movie titles and make songs about them,
Yeah.
and create this. And they only were around for a brief time, and then they disbanded, and then it was something that was legendary, and but they're no longer around. You can't see them anymore. They only put out a certain number of records. It just became legendary. It's like James Dean's career. He only did less than a handful of movies, and then he died. And it's like or Bruce Lee. It's just there's not much there, and then it became there was a mystique about it, like and then there was among punk rock people, it's like, hey, I saw the Misfits when I'm cool. Actually saw them perform live, and it's like
Yeah.
it's bragging rights, and
Sure.
it's like, man, that person there, they saw the Misfits live. It's like, oh, you're cool, you saw them live. And so that was a thing, and then but he went on to a different band, and the guys that were in the original band with him, they realized, hey, well, why don't we continue the band? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I own they I did this. They went to court, and I guess it was they're allowed to use the Misfits name, and the Crimson Ghost guy, and so and play the old songs in concert. And
Huh.
uh, and then they also do new music and create new albums that are, but without the original singer. It's like, well, Van Halen went on without David Lee Roth, but
Yeah.
and Sammy Hagar had a career before he joined that, and he had some good songs, but it's just like it's not Van Halen. It doesn't sound like, because the singers are kind of important. That's unless you're an instrumental band like the Ventures, you kind of need, once the singer, that's what you hear the most are the words.
Yeah. The person the front man is kind of who establishes the mood of the thing almost.
You don't, yeah, it just is. That's not Van Halen. If it's not as much of an asshole as he was, and a ridiculous moron, he had that energy, and the music was fun because he was singing it. You can say whatever you want about him, but he needed to be there. And when Glenn Danzig left the Misfits, they didn't really know what to do. Because he was the guy that was guiding it. So all these misfits, right? They've got some cool covers. They've
Yeah.
hired some cool artists, but they're kind of directionless. So let's do a cover version of Monster Mash. I saw that the Misfits did a cover version of Monster Mash. It's like, man, I don't think you get it, man. It's just like, well, it has monsters in it. They don't see. Glenn Danzig was the guy that knew these old movies and old comic
Yeah.
books, and then they were just along for the ride. But I I think, so it's all. So I don't think any. I guess some people like the new Misfit stuff. I've never really even acknowledged it as being real any more than I would acknowledge a Spider-Man comic that came out last month as being a real Spider-Man comic. It says
Yeah, exactly.
Spider-Man. He looks like Spider-Man, but that's not Spider-Man. To me,
No.
this is Spider-Man. I'm looking at here on the TV. This 1960s stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, this is the real stuff, and but maybe that's snobbish. Someone that's born later, that the 1990s, the Todd McFarlane era, that's the
Yeah.
stuff.
My son
It's-
is a big fan of Spider-Man, but he, I mean, he's the part of the Ultiverse or whatever. He's into all the different versions of Spider-Man. Like the Miles Morales Spider-Man, the Gwen Stacy Spider Girl or whatever.
oh yeah, I don't know anything about all that. To me, that's
And
ridiculous. I mean, that was like some big deal. That
yeah,
Marvel is the company that's realistic. Or sometimes characters die and they stay dead. It's not they
yeah,
don't come back 2 issues later. And
yeah,
they killed off Spider-Man's girlfriend, and Spider-Man seemed to mourn her all through the 1970s. It kind of got depressing, actually. I don't think they ever should have killed her off, but it's like, oh man, it looks like she's really going to stay dead, and then they just bring her back as some superhero. It's really, yeah, it's all a bunch of bullshit. John Gores says no. Gigi Allen equals no murder junkies. Yeah. Um, they the Doors put out a couple albums after Jim Morrison died. I think they were almost like instrumental records, or maybe one of the other guys sang a little bit. I don't even know if I've heard. Actually, I think I'd like to hear those. I could probably just look them up on YouTube, and I wonder. Yeah, but what do? You lose the front man, and then you don't have a band anymore. I don't think.
yeah. I agree with you. If you lose the one main person who's part of your band. It's like, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, they're Van. Speaking of Van Halen, I mean, Van Halen they did move on. I mean, they did have some success after David Lee Roth left, but
Oh well, I don't. Maybe yeah, I think so. People. I don't know. I don't know any of those songs. I don't. Yeah, I don't think. I doesn't matter to me.
yeah, yeah,
The good stuff was. Who knows? I
the
mean,
good
I
stuff,
know
the
Eddie
good
Van
stuff.
Halen had talent, and Sammy Hagar had talent. Maybe they. I just don't know.
Well,
It
you know,
just did.
that's your. I mean, that's your way of looking at it, and that's fine. You know, uh, a lot of younger people they don't know the old stuff, so they go with what like my son goes with Spider-Man the way he is now, and
Yeah.
I try to tell him, son, Spider-Man's nothing like he used to be a long time ago.
Uh,
I showed him some essential Spider-Man comics that I picked up, the essential books, and I said, here's the real Spider-Man.
yeah.
And so he's having to see that for what it really is. But I don't think he cares. I think kids a lot of times they just don't care. They're just like whatever.
Yeah.
You know. Well, Grottu, I'm going to let you go because I know you got to go back to bed, and I think I might try and go back to bed myself.
Yeah.
But I saw you on, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to wish him happy birthday, and
Oh,
if you do a live thing later, I'll try and look for you,
oh yeah,
and
sounds good.
I'm gonna have Easter with my lady and her family,
Oh yeah.
and so I wish you a happy Easter and a happy birthday, and I'm gonna let you go.
Well, thank you. Well, take care. I'll see you later.
Talk to you later. Bye bye.
John Goris says, I do like that one post Ozzy Black Sabbath album, The Mob Rules with Ronnie James Dio. Yeah, I forgot Ronnie James Dio came in. Yeah, you're right. I like that. Ronnie James Dio was an interesting guy. He was an older guy, and there you can see he did like music in the late 50s and early 60s when he looked like Frankie Valli and had short hair. Like a it was interesting that he, yeah, yeah, man. Um, I don't know. He's probably right. I need to get back to sleep. Um, I just wanted to record. Hope I didn't mess up the grandfather clock. I think it'll. Um, yeah. Well, yeah. I guess I'll head on out and take some and get some sleep. I just wanted to record 4:20 a.m. on my birthday, and happy Easter, everybody. I'll be back later on in the day. Goodbye.